I'm Jatek Kaur Khalsa, South African by birth but Punjabi by heart. And this year in Africa I've spent a lot of time sightseeing, traveling around, and now I find myself on the garden route. I'm spending time with Andrea Berle, a tourist guide and a friend of mine. Today we're visiting Great Brak, Friemersheim and Botlierskop. We're starting off at the Great Brak Hydro Station. Tell me the story about the Great Brak River Hydro Station, Andrea.
It was built in 1924 by the Searle family because they had quite a big enterprise going in the village with a shoe factory and a tannery and wool washery, and they needed lots of electricity to maintain the operations. And no one in the area here had electricity by that stage. But there was a lot of water coming down the river, and also up in the mountains there was a lot of water in those days. And they decided to build a hydroelectric power station. They had the idea much earlier on, but it was a very expensive project, and eventually by 1924, when most of the family members who ran the enterprise were already dead. So by 1924 it materialized, and it has been restored. It is working. I'm not so sure how much of the village they can provide with electricity. I'm not so sure. Maybe a few houses these days. But in those days it was for the whole village and the companies which ran the shoe factory and so on.
Wow.
So it is
very advanced for 1924.
Yeah. And they were very entrepreneurial, and they had to take a lot of money into their hands to make it work. And indeed, they had electricity before Mossel Bay.
Wow. Well, the hydro station had a constant feed of water coming from the top of the mountain. There's a waterfall and a spring up there, so it runs down to this natural lake river, which then would feed the hydro station. The beauty of the garden route is breathtaking. Vast amounts of water, greenery, animal life, truly a beautiful part of the Western Cape. Now we're heading off to Friemersheim on the way to Botlierskop. Friemersheim was a mission station that was established in 1870. For many years afterwards, it served no real purpose. It was just loved for its quaintness. It's really pretty. Today the village is perched on a circular route through the countryside of the garden route between George and Mossel Bay. This community is about 15 kilometers from Groot Brak River, or the Great Brak River. As you can see, there's many artists, and animals are truly loved. Artwork painted on the walls, buffaloes, rhinoceroses. It's really quite an interesting little village to visit. So let's head to Botlierskop Game Reserve. On our way to Botlierskop, we've spotted a falcon sitting overlooking the valley on our left-hand side. As you can see, the fencing is high and secure for game on both sides of the road. This road leads to Botlierskop. We've already seen kudu, eland and a rhinoceros. So this game farm is not a hunting farm. The game farm is for the preservation of the various species. Botlierskop was named after one of the mushroom-like rock formations in the reserve. The odd-shaped kopje is a landmark in the area. This game farm has a deep-seated conservation ethic, and this was passed down from the late Dr. Dirk Neertling, which was a vet, from 1962 to 2007, to his son, the present owner, Arnold Neertling. Today, Botlierskop Reserve strives to uphold the conservation legacy in a new and very innovative ways, as you can see. These ponds are also drinking holes, and the animals can come right down from the mountains or the koppies late afternoon or early morning to have a sip of water, and it's mere meters away from the seating area. This is spectacular to observe. We decide to have lunch, sit on the deck and watch out for any animals. The menu at the Spekboom definitely caters for a wide variety of choice, flavors, and options. I receive a friendly cup of cappuccino, and we have various vegetarian options, which Andrea and myself enjoy. We end off our delicious lunch with a caramel chocolate peppermint cheesecake. We have 2 friendly visitors popping in to share some of our bread rolls. There's really no animals here today. Normally there's a lot of animals at the drinking holes. But how beautiful are these ponds. After lunch we decide to take a stroll around to see what else this beautiful game farm has to offer. We come across a beautiful swimming pool in the middle of the lake. This man-made lake is absolutely exquisite. And then the pool that they've built into the natural habitat, which obviously when you're in the pool would feel like you're in the lake. Isn't that amazing? This is really a breathtaking game farm. And the water pond or lake in front of the restaurant and the pods at the back. As you can see, there's little pods where you can sit in and admire nature. Chairs to sunbathe and even have shelter from the extreme sun in Africa. As we decide to leave the game farm, there are various animals roaming around us. There's eland, some springbok coming up, walking freely. Isn't that a beautiful sight? And here is a springbok close up. Let's head home. Thank you very much for joining us on this short day trip out today. Do feel free to contact Andrea when you're traveling the garden route or planning to travel the garden route. She's well informed, an amazing person to share time with. Wai Guruji Ka Khalsa, Wai Guruji Ki Fateh.